Hello and welcome to How to Sell Anything for Leaders. Sales is such an important part of life. Anything that we want, somebody is going to give it to us. Whether you are looking for a new job, a new career, you're looking for a date, you're looking for a partner, you're looking for a client, all of these areas require sales. Now, why sales for leaders is that as a leader, we are selling all the time. And we like to say that a CEO is one way of looking at a CEO is chief executive officer or chief execution officer, but we like to say chief enrollment officer. And welcoming here today with me is my buddy Victoria, but I see she's offline, so I'll have to keep going until she comes back online. Victoria, are you there? Your screen is blank. I will keep talking about sales and how sales shows up in all areas of life. Today, we're going to talk about sales from a different point of view. It's not pushy. It's not forcing people to do things. It's not taking any product and making people buy it. Sales from this perspective is about helping people to get what they want. It's not about what you want. It's about what they want. So it's about being of service and helping others from a service point of view. And the more people that we serve and the more people that we help, the more we get what we want, the more we get in exchange. And yet so many people, what they do is they go out into the marketplace and they try and sell their stuff. They try and sell their products. They try and sell their services. And anybody that comes along, they think is a prospect. So they try and manipulate them, connive, control, force, coerce, charm, and get them to do whatever it is they want to buy this product, whatever they need to do. So let me tell you a little of my background while we're waiting for Victoria. My background is that I started my sales career in about more than 30 years ago. I'm trying to think of the date. More than 30 years ago, I was an engineer and I ended up moving into a sales role and eventually becoming an entrepreneur. And, that's where my life really took off when I learned about sales. As an engineer, I used to help my clients with their technical problems. I would help them get new equipment, buy upgrades, and all sorts of things. And I didn't realize that helping them, I was providing a solution to them as well as creating income for the company. And I thought I was just helping out. Victoria, are you with us now? Yes. All right. Is your microphone working?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, here we go, Victoria. So you
Well,
had a little bit of technical issues and a
very
little bit of delay.
interesting. Got
I
hung.
was just, yeah, you got hung. Wow, you had to
Yeah.
restart. I was just telling everybody how I started out in sales as an engineer,
Yes, I could hear
and
everything you said.
oh, you could hear
I could
everything.
hear it.
And
I just couldn't. You just couldn't see me.
in my first full year in a sales role, I sold the entire company's budget for the product for the country myself. And there were a lot of other experienced salespeople, and this was a new product to the market. I was working for Philips and a big company in electronics, and they were releasing a telephone exchange to the local market for the first time. And I often joke the reason that I sold more than anyone else is because I didn't know what I was doing. And a lot of people who had more experience than me, they couldn't sell it. And I just said, okay, this is a great product. There's a need in the market. And my boss gave me the yellow pages in those days as a prospect list and said, go for it. And I'm like, okay, into the yellow pages. And, did I have fear of rejection and all that stuff? You bet. But what made a difference for me was I got some training and learned how to do it. This made a big difference because in the beginning I was fumbling.
You know,
And yep, go on.
your this example and your experience says a lot because sometimes experience it might not be our best teacher because you didn't know what you were doing and you were more willing to learn. But the people who are more experienced when it comes to selling something that they didn't think in their mind, they didn't think it will work, they resist it. So you end up turn the problem into an opportunity for yourself. That's interesting.
Yeah, you're right. Because if you know too much, you think you know already and you stop
Yes,
learning.
that's right. And I think
This
that's
is a lot of people's
church.
problem.
Yes.
They stop learning because they think they know.
Yes.
And we're dealing today in 2024 with a world that is very skeptical.
Yeah. And I think that's the term that I learned from you about 20 years ago is that the more we think we know, the more filter we have. Filter meaning
Oh,
we are not able to see we are not able to see things objectively. We see things through a filter that have us not being 100% clear what's in front of us. And we already, filter have us make up our mind about whether something is going to work or not. Like selling, just the word sales and selling brings up a lot of filter for a lot of people because of whatever experience that we all have with different people. We just it just the filter is there, and the filter is like our cognitive bias that you discuss with another group of people, our clients the other day, that it has us being really biased about sales, and it has people resist the term and the benefit of it, whether you're the
mm.
one selling or you're the one being sold.
Well, I find that if you resist selling, you also resist buying. So it goes
Yes.
both ways.
Yeah.
And
100%.
these negative experiences that you talk about, you just mentioned, are they relating to having negative experiences with pushy people who don't take no for an answer and try and force you into doing something that they obviously are after your money?
Yeah. Yes. Well, that's one of those. Yes, that's one of those. Usually, it has to be connected to some form of negative experience or buyers. You have some regret over what you purchased before, and from the regret, you will make up. A lot of us make up things. If we are not clear, we'll make up things about why we bought what we bought, or why we spend the money with the way why we spend the money in the first place. And if we can't reconcile our feeling with it, the person who happened to be the one facilitating the sales, whether they are pushy or not, is one thing. But our regret will have us make up a lot of things that are not accurate, and we'll
Mm.
project that onto the person who facilitated the transactions.
So you're talking about a form of buyer's remorse where we
Yeah,
blame the person who facilitated the transaction
that's right.
and we say that you manipulated me. It's your fault. You did it. I didn't really want to do it, and
Oh,
you got me to do it instead of
yes.
being responsible. But most people are not responsible, so it's just part of the course, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So a lot of time will be, there are three things that in that feeling, a lot of people will either say, someone manipulated me. In the past, it's more the use of the term, right? Manipulation, pushy. Now people outright say scam. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's so easy to just uh, use the word without thinking through whether it's true or not. And it's it's very harmful to just say it like this without accuracy.
You're saying it's harmful to accuse someone of scamming you
Yeah,
when there's no scam involved because
that's
people just
right.
love to say it for shock
Yeah,
value.
as
And
well as yes. Sorry.
they also try to manipulate the person that they did the transaction with to try and get their money back
That's
for
right.
whatever reason, instead of saying, I made a mistake or whatever, and allowing the other party to walk it through. Because when it comes to sales, buyer's remorse is a very common thing to go through. In the
Yeah,
moment, you're excited about, getting the benefit of whatever it is and acquiring it. And then, someone says something to you, creates some doubt, or you doubt yourself, you second guess, and then you're like, oh no, remorse kicks in, and then you regret doing it.
yeah,
And if you're dealing with somebody who's aware of that, they can actually talk you through it and explain to you and remind you of why you made the decision in the first place, because it's so easy to forget, isn't it?
yeah. Yes. Agree. And it
So
should.
do you like your term chief enrollment officer, because you're the CEO of the Gold Zone Group, so your number one role
It's
is
enrolled.
enrollment.
Yes, actually, it's true. Well, I gotta enroll people to do the job. I gotta enroll people to do what I want them to do. I gotta enroll stakeholders. I gotta enroll like everyone and suppliers. Why? Even vendors. It takes enrollment because it's not just about are you getting what you want when you pay money. So it's not just about paying the money itself. It also is about helping them to help you get what you want. So if you just leave it up to the vendor and you don't get what you want, well, who's leading?
Well, who's leading? You're leading up to the other party, because most people, when they hear a no, they just accept it and they don't ask and they don't go through a enrollment process to
They
get what
don't
they want.
negotiate. Yes,
And
negotiation is part of enrollment too.
yes, it is. So our definition of sales is helping people get what they want. And the follow up from that is that enrollment is the process of getting what you want. You have
Yeah,
to enroll people into it by helping them to see what's in it for them, because
yeah,
they're not going to do it because they like us. They're not going to do it because we want them to do it. They will do it because it's in their interest to do so.
because
And
they
that
want to
part
do
people forget.
it.
Huh?
Yes, they want to do it because they want to do it, not because you ask them to do it. In fact, the more you ask them to do it, the less they want to do it.
They become resistant.
Yeah. And then the other thing is also there are a lot of people who believe that if you can't convince them, confuse them. And
Oh,
that's another thing that really makes sales look really bad because they like are the sales itself, right? Harrison, in our previous LinkedIn live session when we talk about sales, what is
mm.
sales? Sales is the transaction that take place. The process itself is actually enrollment and it's a sales process that help us to facilitate a transaction to take place. So for me, I feel that there's so much lack of understanding, lack of clarity in terms of what is all about, and it really caused a lot of people their inability to ask better question when it comes to buyer. Are you asking the right question, or you just straight out because you don't like to be sold, you just don't ask anything? And if you are the
Well,
seller, and if you are the seller, are you asking question to understand how you can help them, or you are just over promoting your services and tell people how great you are? So I think yeah, they are this is the both side.
I would like to answer that. Most people think selling is telling. So they
Yeah,
tell people how great they are, like you said, and they don't ask questions, and they think it's about convincing the other person to do something, and they don't bother to find out what the other person is thinking or feeling or what their problem is. And they're
yeah,
not interested in the other person. All they're interested in is getting money, and it
that's
shows.
right. Yeah,
And my DMs on LinkedIn are full of people messaging me trying to get money. And they offer me this, that, and the other. And I'm not interested in any of it.
yeah,
And very few of them will build a relationship. It's very rare for anybody to build a relationship with me, to follow my posts, comment on them, and then to send me a thoughtful direct message based on something I shared.
yeah,
Very rare.
yeah,
So, you know
agree.
what that tells me, Victoria? Number one, people don't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
There's a lack of education out there for people how to have conversational selling,
yeah,
how to just build relationships
yeah,
and engage with people. So there's a lack of knowledge out there, which means we need better education.
that's right.
And
And you
yeah,
remind me of all the DM that we receive, right? You remind me of this. This is from Joe Gerard, right? He's the one of the
ah,
top car salesmen in American history. How many cars did he sell in 1 year?
he's in the Guinness Book of Records. In his lifetime, I think he sold 13,000 cars, something like that.
13,000. Oh my God. Anyway, one of the things that he described, which is what these people are doing when they just DM a number of people, and hopefully some deal would land. So this is how I really love his description. This is like you throw enough spaghetti on a wall, and a few of them will stick. You throw enough spaghetti on the wall, a few of them will stick. That is not sales.
No, that's hope, because
That's
we
hope.
like to say, and I believe this come from a four-star general, but I don't remember which one. Hope is not a strategy.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And then we feel frustrated. We are like, oh, we work so hard. Oh, I put in so much effort, and then nothing comes through. Or only one or two. Then you feel dejected, and then you feel demoralized. And instead of learning what sales is about, instead of educating yourself, most people just give up and say that, oh, this is not sales is not for me.
So, Victoria, what stops people buying books on sales and reading them? Why don't people go and self-educate on what is sales, how to have conversations with people, what works and what doesn't, how to ask open-ended questions, closed-ended questions, how to handle objections, how to ask people to make the transaction, how to handle their stalls when they become doubtful and fearful, how to handle their buyer's remorse. Why don't people buy books like on those subjects? Because there's thousands, there must be hundreds of thousands of books written on this subject that are
It's
very good books.
it's very easy. Why don't we ask the audience whether why do you think, in your experience, why do you think people don't do that, don't buy books? Because for me, right, it's very simple. A lot of people have this idea, this is especially in the Asian culture, where honestly, sales is like a you talk about sales, right? Salespeople, especially in my generation, and I suspect it's still so. It's still very much so that sales is deemed as the people who can't find a job or you can't get a career, and then you go into sales. So sales is deemed as a lower than what do you call that, tier or lower class. In,
Well, in the Asian context,
unconsciously, huh?
I think it's consciously, because in an Asian context, if you look at tiger mums, what they want their kids to do is they want a career that's like a, a doctor, uh, these kind of professions, doctor, lawyer, engineer, that makes the family proud of them and they
Yeah,
can look up to them. And then
yeah.
if you were a door-to-door salesman, ooh, this is a scummy thing to do.
See,
But
you just mentioned one thing: door to door salesman, and
yep,
that's what people connect sales to, door to door salesman. But what's wrong with that? Sales is not just about door to door, but that's one of the way that people do it traditionally. But these days, I don't know. I don't think it's as common as it used to.
well, you'd be surprised, because if you're selling private jets, aren't you going door to door? You're
Well,
selling
yeah,
a private jet.
you're
You're
right.
going,
Go to
and the
office.
door you're going in is the high net worth people. And
Yeah,
then if you're selling Rolls Royce, you go from private jet to private jet selling your Rolls Royce. So
that's
Rolls
right.
Royce won't necessarily go to car shows. They'll show their cars at the private jet shows where all the buyers are, who can just, drop a couple of $1 million on a car just like that because it looks cheap next to the private jet.
That's right.
So they're all doing sales at different levels. Every single thing,
They're
whether it's
selling, you mean?
computers, jets, planes, jet engines, renovations, they all involve a transaction where somebody's buying and somebody's selling. And the
Yeah,
skills that you have can make the difference between, scraping by, struggling, and being awash with clients and with money.
yeah.
And I
Well,
want to say something
mhm.
about this, Victoria, before you address that. I want to say this. Don't we all want and wish that we were swamped with our phone was ringing, our emails were lit up with people wanting to throw money at us and buy things from us? Don't we all wish that?
Yep. Good luck.
Now, that happens for the rare person,
Depends.
you know.
Yes. Yeah. I think a lot of people, yeah. So to answer your question, right? So first of all is how we look. So sales doesn't make one look good especially from an Asian culture point of view. Second, uh, yes, actually connected to what you is like what you say. We all want people to come to us, so we don't want to go and reach out. Feels like I'm trying to. I think the feeling that brings up for people is that selling equals to begging. Selling equals to, if I go ask people to buy things from me, I'm asking them to buy, I'm asking them for money, which is equivalent to begging, and people
Okay,
don't understand that feeling.
on that note, Victoria, the begging thing, that going and asking for someone to buy something is begging. Where does that come from? Because it's so not the truth. And I do believe some people are desperate enough to be behaving that way. And the way that they interact with you, it looks like that.
Yeah,
But for the majority of professional salespeople and executives who are facilitating transactions, you're helping people to buy, you're helping people to solve problems, and you're saving lives with innovative things. You're saving them money, you're saving them time, you're saving people's lives with all kinds of innovations that they never would have heard about if you
yeah,
didn't go and talk to them.
yeah. Well, it's a people need re-education. We all need re-education. If we don't understand and we make up all this, we have all this assumption around a specific topic. In For today, we are talking about sales, right? And that is what stop people. That's what stop people from acquiring the skill. That's what stop people from buying books. That's what stop people from actually investing time and energy and money to go learn something that could highly benefit them more than they realize. Because if you can't see the benefit, you're not going to. I'm not going to spend money, time, and energy in something that I can't see benefit from.
Mm. So I got a book on my desk about sales. In fact, I've got a few around. One in particular stands out that I'm in the middle of reading, and we're all busy and we all have time to allocate to different things. But why am I reading about sales? I mean, I've been in a sales career in business, an entrepreneur. I've started 20 different companies. I've helped businesses grow. And in total, my clients, partners, and whatnot have grown their sales by over $1 billion. So, over $1 billion, why am I still reading sales books, Victoria?
Well, the thing is that when you're so good at what you're doing, right? Sometimes I can. This is also my experience. When you're in it so long, sometimes we forgot the basic, and we need to go reread or relearn the basic in order to master it further, because the mastery comes from the foundation. So if I miss a few steps in the foundation, I'm not I'm limiting my potential.
So, can you explain this in a wushu sense? Because you practice wushu and you've had a coach training you and
To
you've learned a lot about it. And
You know how a lot of the easiest way I can explain is, I mean, we most of us love to watch kung fu movie. I mean, Kung Fu Panda is entertaining, educational, and fun to watch, right? And we look at their movement, wow, very graceful, the kick and all that, or the Chinese kung fu movie, the martial arts people. So we like to, a lot of time people don't understand that. So the punch and the kick, right? When you kick and punch, without the foundation, it has nothing in it. What do I mean by that? So one of the Chinese martial art foundation is the horse stance. Horse stance is where you, I don't know how to explain horse stance. Horse stance is the basic movement of, this is what I learned from the kung fu, the shifu that I learned from.
oh, you look like you're sitting on a chair, but there's no chair there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
like a horse
actually, you
stance.
look like you're riding on a horse without moving. So that's why it's called a horse stance. So in a horse stance, that's the basic foundation of a lot of wushu. Actually, is the foundation of all martial arts across the board. At least that's what I learned. And if you can't do that, right? So essentially, the foundation of martial art, when he shared with me, I thought that was very profound. Is that a lot of people want to do the beautiful kick, the graceful punch, and want to have power in it. But the first step to learning any form of kick and punch is to be able to do horse stance for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. You basically just practice that day in, day out, day in, day out. There's no movement. You just have to do the same thing and train your muscle, train your balance, train your centeredness being able to be centered is part of the purpose of doing the horse stance. If you are not centered, everything else is there's no power in anything.
No
So
power in anything. So wait a sec. So you have to practice for an extended amount of time. You
yes,
have to be centered, and you build your core strength to be able to do it. You're
that's right.
centered, so you're focused on your breathing, and then from there you have the power to do kicks and punches.
Yes,
And to translate that into a sales context is that you have to master the basics and come from a centered place. When
that's
you're off
right.
center, you're needy and you're
Yes,
leaning in and you're pushing too much. And if you lean back, you're going to fall over if you lean back too far and there's no connection. So your horse stance is a great analogy for the power from center, where you're able to reach out and withdraw back and have an engagement with power that impacts people and has them moving towards you. And
yeah,
I think this requires fundamental mastery of the basics, and that takes time and being on a team with others where you can practice it and you can role play and you can learn from each other and you can pick up what works and what doesn't, and then you get in the zone with it. But
so
someone
yes.
who just gets out in the market and goes telling, how you get in the zone with that?
Yes. So how centered feels like, right? The reason why it's that important is because is where your true confidence is where your how it really is when you're confident in yourself and when you're centered, no one can topple you. No one can actually, how like in boxing they nudge you, right? They will try to trigger you.
Yep.
uh, how you know someone is centered is that they can get all the negative remarks and they don't topple because of one or two negative remarks, and they can come back with grace. They can come back and counter it, and they don't feel needy. They are very powerful, and they can just turn the conversation around. Or if there's no alignment, they are okay to leave it and move on to the next thing. That's actually true centeredness.
Mm. That's interesting because what comes to mind is a statement from Stuart Wilde, who said, "You subjugate your ego for the other person, and you come in under them to be of service." So it's not about your ego, but many people lead with their ego, and that's why they take the comments so personally, and they think everything is about them,
Yeah,
and then they get demotivated, demoralized, and, like you say, give up.
yeah. And the other
So,
the other thing about being centered, I just want to say, so
yeah,
the reason why we talk about that much is because you mentioned about you reading sales book, right? And a lot of people
yep,
don't bother to do it. So being
yep.
centered, having the basics and mastering our basics, what that does is that it allows us to be flexible. So when we are flexible, more things is going to happen. We can create more. We are more open to more options, and we are able to lean towards wherever that's going to optimize what we want. So it actually is the opposite of rigidity. So when I'm not centered, I feel more rigid. When I'm centered, I'm more flexible. So then options and choices open up when I'm more flexible.
So being flexible, does that mean you should have a sales script or not?
I would say that at the beginning, it's like driving. At the beginning, when you learn new things, you got to have some script to follow, and it's going to be uncomfortable because there are certain way to ask certain question that is not that will bring up a lot of feelings, like powerful communication. A lot of us, when we are not sure about ourselves, the way we ask question is not very clear and very hesitant. And sales script can help you get through that on the surface and learn how to be comfortable with those questions until you feel confident in yourself.
Mm.
Like for example, one of the hardest part in sales process is the asking people to close the deal. So a lot of people have a hard time to say, do you like this is not a good question not an effective question to ask. Essentially what people really want to ask is, do you want to do it? And that's not effective.
Do you
And
want to? No.
no.
No. That, that
Bye.
brings up
Oh,
that brings up the fact that you shouldn't ask people a question that they're going to say no to. So if
yes,
you don't like
correct.
getting no, don't ask a question they can say no to.
That's right. So a lot of people have a hard time asking those kind of questions, and they don't know that there's other way to ask. There's more gentle, also it's gentle and direct, while helping you to know where the other person is at. So all these are part of the beginning for beginners. I personally think that script can help to a certain extent, but the fast track is actually to help them bridge their emotion with the script.
Yes. Well,
I
I
started
got a
from
slightly
the
different
script.
I got a
Yeah,
slightly different view on it there, Victoria.
yeah,
So here's my view on a script. The more advanced you are, the more practiced you are, the more you need the script. And so I think the script is for the beginners and the advanced people, because people who are advanced forget the basics and try
yeah.
and skip to the end too
That's
fast,
right.
and then they don't lead people through the process. And this is the thing about sales and enrollment, is that it's about leadership. You're leading the other person to see what's in it for them and to see how it can work for them. And in the beginning, they can't see it. They want to keep their money more than they want whatever it is that you're enrolling them into. So having a sales script, I call it a sales pattern.
Yeah.
And it's like if you take a bakery, and I think this is a good example. If you go to a bakery and the master chef just does it any whole way he feels like on the day, one day the cake's going to be this high, another day it's going to be that high, one day it's going to be that shape, another day it's going to be that shape, and based on the chef's mood, the cake will change shape and size and taste. And nobody wants that, because the reason we want to keep going back to the bakery is because we want a predictable taste and a predictable experience. And the more predictable it is, the more we like it.
Mm.
And I see that even the most masterful, experienced people need to remember the basics and follow the script like a recipe. And it's not that you are going through something, reading it like this. Do you want? That's ridiculous. It's not. It's not about reading it like that, but it's about having a framework in your mind that reminds you that you're leading. And if you're not leading, who's leading? Who's leading
Your
if you're not
buyer
going
is
to be leading?
your team, your buyer, everyone is your clients. They are all leading.
The only place they're going to lead to is a no. They're not doing anything. That's where they will lead you to. So if that's the default is doing nothing. So
Yes,
what are you competing
true.
with? The status quo of doing
Doing
nothing.
nothing.
So it's
Yes.
your job to lead them through the process of seeing it. They can't
Yeah,
see it, you're helping them see it. And telling
that's
them doesn't help them see it, because they don't believe you, because they know you have a vested interest. So they don't believe you. The only thing they believe is themselves.
agree. Hey, I wanted to ask everyone, do you have any question or comments about sales that you would like us to address so that we can use this opportunity? Because, we can talk for the next 30 minutes. But the whole intention is that whoever who is here, we want to make it as relevant for you as possible. And so if you have any question that you want to understand more when it comes to sales, or when it comes to how sales is connected to your results, whether you're employee, employer, whether you're in sales or you're entrepreneur, they are all connected. And I advocate for people to learn sales. And today, Harrison, you just helped me to articulate in different way. I think everybody should educate themselves about sales and why, how they can use sales to accelerate their career, their income, and what they want. It's about re-education, because there's so much missing knowledge out there about sales, and that it really just it stopped a lot of people from what's possible.
Well, here's the thing about what you're saying, Victoria, is that a lot of coaches, consultants, trainers, professionals, doctors, chiropractors, dentists, they all have this awkwardness around sales. And the more
Yes.
educated they are, the more academic education they've had, the more difficult time they have with it.
I agree. It's true. The more technical, yes. That's why Gala has a question. But before I answer his question, right? I talk to a lot of salespeople from MNCs and companies.
Mm.
I'm a little bit shocked that the company don't send them for sales training. And a lot of company, how they sales their how they train their salespeople. Their idea of sales training is product training. Product training is not sales training. You are missing so much opportunity when you train your team in product without helping them understand what is sales. How does sales work? What does the process what does it take to go through the sales process to lead and influence someone from the beginning to the end? They are all a systematic process. It's not an art, it's a system.
It's a science, isn't it?
Yeah. If you don't know which stage you are in the sales process, you're going to have a hit and miss results.
Yeah.
So
So
big
I want to ask you, Victoria, because we've got a little bit of delay in the audio here, so we're talking over a little bit each other.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to ask you, and you can answer this now or later. Why are you passionate about sales, and how did you get started? And these are some of the questions that I'd like you to address. But let's answer him first, shall we?
Yeah, Gala's question, right?
Yeah.
So he asked, how do we become more intentional with conversation? Harrison, you are the best at answering this question.
Well, it depends what your product or service is that you are helping people with, what the problem they're having that you are helping them solve. And what I suggest is that you focus on them and their needs and their problems, and you become passionate about helping them. And then everybody that you interact with who fits your ideal profile of a person you can help, you have a conversation with them about their problem and how they've tried to solve it before and what possible solutions there are out there that could solve that problem for them to save them money, time, or energy. And so if you're passionate about them, it shows, and it just comes out through everything you say and do. And that's how you put an intention as. The intention is to help, and
Yeah,
people feel it in the conversation. And
yeah,
that's and a conversation, I'm glad you said intentional with conversations, because a conversation is a two-way dialogue. You ask questions and they answer. And so it's a repartee back and forth, back and forth. A lot of people, you know what they do. I heard a role play the other day, and this person who was practicing, they asked 3 questions in a row because they were so nervous. They didn't give the client time to answer.
Oh my God. Yes, that shows nervousness. You're right.
Nervous.
Too many questions. And also it's also a sign of they are not clear with what they are trying to ask. So they just vomit out whatever that comes to their mind. That's not very intentional, by the way. If you just vomit out what you think you want to ask, then you're not listening.
To listen, Victoria, you have to be present. So it goes back to your horse stance example of
That's
being
right.
centered. When you're centered,
You can
you
be
are
present.
you are relaxed and you're able to listen.
That's right. Does
If
that
you're
answer our question?
nervous, you're not centered.
Not listening. Yes.
If you're nervous, you're attached to your own outcome and you're
That's
leaning
right.
into them, and it's going to push them away, because somebody leans into you, you're going to lean back, aren't you?
Yeah. Too close. Too close for comfort.
That's right.
So Harrison, you're asking me why am I passionate about sales, right?
Or do you want to ask him if that answers his question?
Yeah, I
Gaily.
asked. Gala, let us know whether we answer your question and if you have any further things to clarify. So for me, right, the funny, I just want to share that since we talk about sales, I actually got fired in my first sales job as a boutique assistant. Okay,
Boutique assistant.
caveat. I was 16, probably 16 or 15 at that time. I can't remember. So I was not very confident. It was really just a part-time job that uh, basically I'll do anything where I can make part-time money in any retail space. If someone say, "Oh, you come and work at this thing for me," I'll just go do it. I don't care whether it's factory, retail. It doesn't matter. If I can get extra pocket money, I will do it. Anyway, that was my one of my first sales experience. The reason now I look back, I know why they fired me. It's so funny because I stood down there and do nothing. I was too afraid to go and approach anyone who walk in and I didn't do much. I just stood down there like a zombie. So they are like, oh my god, this person, I don't think they can make it. Anyway, subsequently, I did a lot of different part-time job while I was studying. Long story short, I decided that I wanted to have more leverage when it comes to my income since I don't have a degree, and that I decided to join. I had an opportunity. Someone talked to me about insurance, where you can, have more leverage in terms of between your time and effort. It's not fixed income, so zero salary, zero basic, all pure commission. So I thought, well, I was young, and I wanted to make good income, and I knew that if I stick to my fixed income job, I'm going to be very limited when it comes to income making opportunity. So I decided to give myself a chance to do it. I gave myself 2 years. I said to myself, the worst case scenario is that if I don't make it, I can still go find another job. Since I was quite young, 22-year-old, but then I didn't. Of course, that really transformed my life when it comes to sales. And I did. At the beginning, it was a little bit tough in the first month or so, but I was very determined. In term, when I see other people doing well, I also get a chance to model after top performers. I actually went out. I started by cold calling. Yes, I literally did a door to door. So the
You
door to
also
door,
stood on the street, didn't you, coming out of
I
the
did
train
it on the
station?
street, yeah, train station, on the street, and also go to door. On But I follow other people to do that. And what that did was, when I even though I didn't believe in myself that much, but when I saw what other people did and what the results that they gotten, I thought that, hey, if they can do it, maybe I can do it too. I just had to follow the same formula. And I did. I followed the same formula and I succeeded. That's how I got into sales. But one of my biggest challenge was fear of rejection. And I just shared with someone the other day that uh, if fear of rejection is not an overnight thing. The reason why I could succeed in sales was because I didn't let that stop me. That doesn't mean that I overcome my fear of rejection. What subsequently happened was I made good income, but I wasn't happy, and I went on a journey. I encountered Go Zone, and I decided to use that as an opportunity to upskill myself so that I can feel more confident in myself to work with better quality clients, because my clients was I had quantity, I didn't have quality. And little did I know that intention to upskill myself led me to something beyond what I imagined. And I was able to it's actually through that whole process on discovering myself, working on my leadership and my influence, and improving my confidence in my ability to connect with um, people who are from all levels. It helped me to discover sales is actually beyond just selling a product and services, and that sales is more than that. And that's why, and I realized that having sales as a foundation for me really helped me to be able to accelerate my career in a different industry, as well as applying the same skill in what I'm doing right now.
So, Victoria, how did that lead to what you're doing now? Because you're a CEO of a group of companies. So, what's the
Yes.
transition from doing individual sales to leading a business? Because a business has a whole lot of other moving parts.
Sales and leadership, they're all dealing with people, right?
Hmm.
So it's about leading and influencing people. It's about getting the job done. It's about helping people to take action. So when you when it comes to selling product and services, it's more direct. Okay, people take action through buying something from you. True.
Yep.
Whereas when you're leading a team, or when you're working with vendors to get what you want from them, what you're doing is that you are actually leading and influencing them to give you what you want based on what you pay them for. So they are all enrolling people to do something that you want that is going to benefit both parties. and in turn, everybody wins from the whole. Everybody wins from the whole transaction. So they get what they want, I get what they want, and a big part of that is leading, influence, and selling.
Hmm. So the
And
title of this session, Victoria, is how to sell anything to anyone, basically.
yeah,
And how do you do that?
how to sell anything for leaders, right?
No,
Basically,
sell anything to anyone. How do you sell anything to anyone?
basically the foundation of selling and leading and influence is really back to what we discussed just now, which is to, if you want to sell something to someone, the first step is to have a conversation. Know more about them, know what they want, know what they are interested, and are you the right person to help them? If you are not the right person, connect them to someone else who can help them. If you are the right person, then you help them see what you can help them with. To me, that's the simplest way for them, for me to explain that. So it doesn't matter what you're selling or what industry you're in. If you don't know what people are wanting, if you don't know what people are looking for, you have a limitation in terms of what you can help them with. You can't lead them and help them to take action in a way that can benefit them if you don't understand them. So that's the long and short of the answer.
So would you be able to sell a pen
Would I
to
be able to
anyone?
sell a pen? Well, that's like such a common thing, right? It depends. Yeah, I mean, I probably will, but I'm not sure. Sell
Don't
a pen,
worry, I'm not going to ask you to demonstrate
I
live
know.
here in front of everybody how to sell the pen, because a lot of people, if you ask them to sell you the pen, they're going to freak out and they're going to
Yeah,
feel under pressure, and then they're going to try and tell you all the features of the pen.
that's
You know,
right.
the feature is that it has a fine point on this end, and then it has a thick one on here, and it fits nicely in your hand, and it's a Sharpie, which means it writes on many surfaces. So they're going to launch into an explanation of what it does, and they're going to miss the whole point because they're nervous.
Yeah, and
That
then people are physically there, but they are not actually there because they are not even listening.
they've tuned out, because what if I don't want a pen right now? What if I've got enough pens? What if I'm
Yeah,
inundated with pens? And why do I need this pen? I don't. So the first thing about having a product like this, if you're selling it, is to find out if the person is in the
needs
market
it
for a
or not.
pen,
Exactly. We
and what
call that.
kind of pen they use, and how do they
Yeah,
use it. Because maybe a person uses a fountain pen for all their writing and they never use one of these, and that's either a problem or an opportunity. If they use fountain pens for everything, have they ever tried this pen? Maybe
yeah,
not. So it's only by having a conversation, what you were saying before, it's only by engaging in a conversation and asking questions that you're going to be able to do that.
yeah. And part of that is in the common term in sales, we call that qualification. Because you can't be trying to sell your what you have to every single person, because not everybody needs your service, not everybody wants your service. You find the right people, the conversation is going to be more flowing. If you try to force your product and services onto everyone, then you're going to feel frustrated, which I must say, I admit, I have been guilty of that. And it really does. It annoys them, it annoys me.
Well, isn't that like someone who starts a new job and then tries to sell all their family and friends on everything? It's then you look like you're doing network marketing or something. You're
Yes.
you're trying to get everybody into it instead of, who's the ideal client. Like the pen example, who's the ideal client for this particular pen? Who's the ideal client for this type of pen?
Mm.
uh, if you're dealing with pens, and there's an ideal client for everything, and most people don't think about their clients. They're thinking about the
Themselves.
transaction and getting money. So it literally is for most people about getting money. The chiropractor doesn't have enough patients, so it's about getting more patients. But actually the focus is the wrong way around. It should be about helping more people, and you're going to feel different if your focus is on how can I help more people, and I have spare capacity to help, and how do I fill up that capacity with people who have, in the chiropractor example, neck pain, back pain, and headaches, and I can help them relieve their pain. So, it's the focus on the pain and helping those people rather than on the bank account.
That's right.
And that
Yes.
applies to everything, right?
Yeah. Everything. Exactly. And yeah, so I think back to re-education in sales.
Yep.
I think everyone need to relearn or unlearn their bias around what sales is, and relearn how understanding sales as a professional skill can really help you to accelerate your income, your career, and your opportunities.
Yeah, and it has a good return on investment because the time that you invest learning the skills, developing a different attitude towards it, and changing the way you feel and dealing with the emotions around it is going to be a transformation experience, isn't it? Because you're going to be able to increase your income, which is why most people want to sell something in the first place, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and then you go to a job interview, it's the same thing. You're selling the employer why they should hire you. But before you vomit out your credential and qualification, you got to find out what they are wanting first. How can your value fit with what they are looking for? But most employees are just interested in acquiring certification and telling them it's no different from people trying to promote their product and services, and trying to help in a way that hoping that if I can do this, the other person will be able to see it. So it doesn't work that way.
So the certification, you want a certificate that says you've done a leadership program.
Yeah,
Good luck with that, according to Lee Kuan Yew. So you've done a leadership training, and then you have a certificate that says you've had this training, but it doesn't say whether you could do it or not.
that's right.
And you think that having all these certifications is going to get you a better job.
That's right.
And in today's world, it is not the case. It's
Yeah,
really never been the case, but it gives
yeah,
people more confidence and they feel better about themselves.
yeah. It
So
might get you
Victoria,
through it might get you through certification and personal branding are the same. It might get you through the first step, but the first harm, it might or might not. But the rest is still up to you.
so you mentioned personal branding because that was my next subject to ask you about, is that
Mm.
it seems like a lot of people are wanting to do personal branding
So
for
that
a
they know how
variety
to
of
sell.
reasons. And 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 often people I encounter on LinkedIn, and when I ask them, what they're doing and why they're doing it, very few will say because they have something to sell. They'll deny having anything to sell. They'll literally say, I'm not selling anything while trying to sell something.
Yeah, yeah,
So
agree.
personal branding is very important and we all need to do it. And personal branding is more than writing stories on LinkedIn and engaging with people and, commenting on posts. It has a lot to do with your image, how you present yourself, how you come across, how you speak, how you walk, how you talk, what your attitude is, and the essence that you convey, what your interests are, and whether you're interested in the other person or you're just self-interested. This is all part of your personal branding. And I
Yeah,
think people forget that and they just focus on the storytelling in order to become known.
yeah,
And being known, obviously, it begins with people have to know you before they're going to do a transaction with you. But before that, they have to trust you. And before that, they have to like you. And before that, they've got to know you. But if you can't enroll someone and have a one-on-one conversation, you could be having 10 people interested in what you're doing and engaging with you. And if you lack the skills, you might be lucky if you get one person to say yes out of 10. But then if you have skills, what if you could double that and have two people, or double that again and have four people? So having four people say yes versus one is a massive 400% increase, isn't it, Victoria?
yes, agree. Yeah,
So
it is.
investing in that part of the transaction, which is where you can talk people through it, is like going to make such a huge difference. But I think a lot of people, they'll set their price point very low so that people
Yeah,
can
you don't have to
can
sell.
that people can buy things so they don't have to sell because they hate selling.
Yeah,
And hating selling, wow, I mean, this, if you could change that one thing, how many of you here with us hate selling? Do you hate selling? Because if you do, you're going to have a problem. If you hate selling, means you hate helping people. it means you find it inconvenient.
Yes. Well,
What
it's
has you
actually,
loving it, Victoria? What has you loving it? Because you love to do it, right?
well, for me is before I share why I love doing it, right? The obstacles to selling is emotion, because we can't handle our emotion when it comes to people saying yes or no, and all the energy and effort that it takes to supposedly sell someone. And when you know how sales work, it doesn't take as much energy as you think it is. So that's one thing. So
Yeah.
why I love selling is because it's fulfilling. It's actually when you are able to when I'm able to help someone see what they can't see, and they actually see the result from the action that they took, right? Meanwhile, I can make money from it. Why not? Like, what's wrong with that?
So, how do people switch from hating sales to how you view it, feeling fulfilled by it? How do they make that switch?
They have to work on their. That's another re-education that is needed. People need to learn to master their emotion, which is what I posted today. And that because what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of the things that we choose to do or not do in life is a result of our how well and how clear we are in terms of handling our emotion. And that if I'm avoiding something, which a lot of people avoid sales. Why do people avoid sales? Because mostly it's fear of rejection. Fear of rejection is what? Emotion. And the fear is stopping us from a lot of things that we truly want, but we can't get over it. So that's why the re-education of understanding emotion, putting learning how to access to our emotion, and being able to learn the language of emotion will does make a big difference in how you can to switch that mindset around sales. But of course, uh, the people who are in for people who are interested, right? The first step is to look at what to go to get clear what they want, and how can sales be one of the vehicle to help them get to where they want in the way that they want. So sales is like a vehicle, it's a skill set.
Hmm. You mentioned re-education. What do you mean? I mean, going back to university, going back to school. What do you mean
No, it's
re-education?
re-education means you educate your learn from. It's not about going back to school, and that's another topic to talk about, right? The problem with think I know when I say education, like people ask me what's my passion. My passion is in education, but I'm not talking about university. I'm not talking about school per se, because that another misunderstanding. Education is not teaching. Education is learning, is to bring back the for me education is about bringing back the joy of learning, so that we can learn a new knowledge in a fun way, a more uh, in a way that allow us to apply what we learn into practice. To me, that's education, is to help us see what we can't see, is to help us open up our mind to something that can be useful to us, so that we can apply in real practical life.
Hmm. Perhaps, perhaps what you're talking about is unlearning, that we have to
Unlearn. Yes.
unlearn all these negative experiences that we have and the things that we've made up about it. And then from a clean slate, without all the prejudice and without all the judgment and without all the fear, then we can step into learning something new and then applying it to benefit whatever it is that we want to do there.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so education is a huge is yeah, that's another term that people, because we when for a lot of us when we went to school as a kid, right? Honestly, most people feel like they're being forced to do it. And then we have this academic
Because you
system.
are, because you are forced to do it.
And then in the within the academic system, we feel like we have no choice but to do it. But to ignite the joy of learning is very a lot of a lot of the traditional school system, right? They don't make learning fun. They basically force feed us and get us to to do theoretical stuff, but without connecting that to how we can apply in real life in the simplest possible way, and we learn all the technical stuff. I'm not complaining about that. I think we all need the basic education in order to learn other things. But I think the missing part in a lot of in school is the joy of learning, which for a lot of us as an adult, right, we become resentful when it comes to learning. And then beyond the certification, whether it's degree, diploma, a lot of people really resist. That to them,
Mm,
learning is a chore, is a burden. Huh?
mm.
I already got my certification. I could learn more. Oh my God. So the burden feeling comes in.
So we want to change that, and
Yeah.
where adults, what we specialize in is creating environments where adults can have fun learning new things,
Yeah.
and it's done in a modern way with music videos and stuff that engages people, that appeals to our senses now. So Victoria, we're out of time.
Yeah.
So do you want to summarize and tell people what can they do from here to learn and unlearn and relearn sales so that they can increase their income and get more yeses and get more of what they want? So if you do that right now, I'll sign off and say thank you everyone for joining us. I appreciate your time and attention, and for listening in to Victoria and I chit-chatting about sales and different subjects relating to leadership. My name is Harrison, and I will see you later. Over to you, Victoria.
Thank you, Harrison, and thank you for you know uh, waiting for me. Well, sharing while waiting for me to solve my technical issue at the beginning. So, just to summarize our session today, when it comes to sales, I think one of the things we talk about is that sales is misunderstood, and that it's actually a professional skill. It's a systematic approach. It's a systematic process. It's a science. It's not an art. And if you understand how sales work, you're going to be able to achieve more of what you want, because a big part of sales is about asking the right question, be present, and to be interested. So that's sales. And product training is not sales training. And that to lead and to sell are very similar, because both leading and selling are about influencing people to help them see the benefit of taking certain action, whether it's getting certain job done or buying something. And yeah, so selling is about helping enough people to get what they want. And I want to end with this. So selling is not pushy. If you need to push for sales, then you're not selling. You're basically forcing your own agenda onto another person. And that selling does require emotion. The more you can feel, the more the more you understand emotion, the more you're able to influence and move other people to take action. So that's us for today, and we are going to do another session next week. And for those of you who want to have better understanding, and who are interested to re-educate your mindset around sales, feel free to DM me. Happy to have a chat, happy to have a conversation, because sales is about having a conversation. And that's us today. See you, and thank you everyone for joining us. We appreciate your time and for staying on to listen to us. See you next Wednesday.